Hey guys, my name is Ron Cecil. I'm a men's life coach in Portland, Oregon, and co-host of a podcast, Cutting for Sign. The reason I'm jumping on here right now is I want to tell you something I struggle with. You might be encouraged if you deal with something similar. And that is, I often create big goals for myself and work really hard on them. And put a lot of effort and time and energy into them. And it's super terrible and shitty when I don't get that result in what feels like should be a reasonable amount of time. I know for me, my brain operates on Amazon Prime time. I put my credit card in something, I order something, and I get that device or that thing within 24 to 48 hours. But that's not what getting and achieving a big goal is really like. I think about a big goal I had set for myself back in 2019. Actually, I set it for myself in 2018, and it took me a year to achieve it. And that was to climb Half Dome on what they call the regular route of the northwest face of Half Dome, which when it was first climbed took some guys almost a month to climb. And now it takes a team about 3 or 4 days to climb. I think it averages between 2 and 3 days. And I wanted to do it in a single day. It involves an 8-mile hike in, about 2,200 feet of climbing, and then an 8-mile hike out. And what I understood about that training process was that I needed to be in a kind of shape and in a kind of mindset that I had never been in my life before as a climber. I'd been climbing at that point over 20 years. But it required information that I didn't have at the time. It required fitness, certainly, that I didn't have. And we'll start there. I had read a bunch about the route, and I had learned that I essentially needed to be in half triathlon, Olympic triathlon distance shape. But when I found that out, I thought, geez, okay, that at least gives me something concrete to work towards. And so I found some plans online to connect to and started working physically, right? And that culminated in me running quite a bit and climbing in the climbing gym and doing workouts several times a week, and then also doing these like monster sauna sessions. In other words, I knew if I could go for these long suffer fests each day 4 or 5 times a week in the gym, those sessions would last between 1 and 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours. I knew that I could be okay on the wall. Actually, I didn't know. I hoped I would be okay. And in the end, I was okay. I absolutely reached my goal. But when we're reaching another goal, when we're looking for a different kind of goal in our life, we can have much less concrete examples of what our life should look like and what our goal should be, especially if you are working towards something like a career change or something within your relationship. Unfortunately, there's not a sign that says in order to be in a relationship, you need to sleep with each other X amount of times a week and go on X amount of Y amount of dates and things like that. It's much more intangible. It's the same with a job, right? You can achieve certain things in a job, right? Sales numbers or things like that, but trying to measure satisfaction gets a little bit harder to deal with. The reason I'm jumping on here is I know for me, I have been trying to achieve some certain goals with my relationship with my business, my relationship with my wife, my business this year. And I was feeling bad earlier today about having not reached some of the goals that I want to achieve. And for me, that looked like not reaching certain sales goals, right? Like I wanted to help a certain number of men and reach a certain number of sales, and that hasn't happened. I also wanted to have a certain amount of satisfaction in my relationship, and that hasn't happened. But as I began to take stock of what my life has looked like, I realized 2 things. Number one, I've actually coached more men and made more money as a coach than I ever have before in my coaching career. And number 2, the quality of my relationship with my wife has changed so dramatically in a good, positive way. And it doesn't have the same indicators that I had earlier in a relationship. In other words, what I used to think were the hallmarks of a relationship, of a good, healthy relationship, aren't the same for me. They still are there. We still try to go on date nights regularly and things like that. But the quality of the way I looked to her for approval is not there anymore. And that's huge. That's a really big deal for me. Because earlier in our relationship and in my history with relationships, I needed a certain kind of affirmation from my woman in order to feel whole and feel right on my own. And I've realized, and I've worked on, especially this last couple of years, really finding that from myself and my own actions. And that's when I realized, like, oh, I'm not looking to her anymore for those things. I'm not even thinking about getting those things from her anymore. And that's when I realized that I really have changed quite a bit. So again, this is encouragement for you, wherever you are on this journey, especially if you're working towards something that feels a little less tangible. You can start to take stock in other ways. If you don't journal, maybe spend a few minutes today, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, really writing down the things that have changed in your life, especially around the areas of your relationship or your career or being a dad or some of those other things. And write down the good things that have happened and see if you can begin to measure those things. And I think you'll find if you give yourself kind of an affirmation like, hey, I've done this. And I've done this because I worked hard on it. I've done this because I got help from God in the universe. Maybe even offer up some gratitude around that. Say thanks. You'll feel a shift. I know you haven't reached your goal, like I haven't reached the number I was going towards, but I have to take some time and say, I have done some other really big things, and I'm really proud of myself. So I hope you're proud of yourself too, guys. Take care.